couldn't be more excited for the next game. I hate that these are at the same time. Like I know we don't like the Penn. I mean, Tom was telling us he can't watch it anyway. So is there any way we can move this to noon and piss off all the Penn State fans?
Oh, no. I will suffer so that others may have joy. I understand what's at stake. My gosh.
Penn State versus Oregon. Tom, take us away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will be unable to watch this game live. I am very excited to be working for TNA Wrestling this coming Friday and Saturday in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. You can get tickets via tnawrestling.com if you're in the area somehow. But yeah, the matchup to watch, obviously, is going to be Oregon's offense against Penn State's defense, strength on strength. The reality is that this likely could be the most hostile environment that college football has ever produced. I believe James Franklin's call to action earlier on this week spoke volumes about the pressure the team is feeling going into this game. I was talking to TJ about this before we came on the air. Yes, if Penn State loses to Oregon, you still have a chance to make the college football playoff. You could lose 2 games this season. You have Ohio State on the road and you have Indiana on your home slate this year. You could lose 1 or both of those games and still have a chance at the college football playoff, right? However, this is the opportunity for Penn State to prove to the entire country that they are for real in 2025. If you lose to Oregon at home with maybe the most hostile whiteout crowd ever created, then everybody is still going to doubt Penn State into the playoff, and there won't be that confidence booster that Penn State desperately needs on a year where they're trying to win a national championship. Imagine the good this could do for James Franklin's confidence and his coaching staff. Imagine the good it could do for Drew Aller, who desperately needs the confidence boost after a head-scratching start in non-con with one of the lowest QBRs in all of college football. There's been plenty of talk from Penn State internally of saying, oh, well, we were just trying stuff out. We were rotating guys, working on our depth. But the truth is, Drew Aller didn't look very sharp. And you can talk about formations and rotations and depth and all that stuff. You either look sharp or you don't. So this is put up or shut up time. Penn State's offense, I expect to attempt to get out ahead quickly, early. James Franklin has said it. They want to start fast. You potentially have a quarter and a half until a quarterback like Dante Moore starts to be numb to the whiteout situation. My co-host on State of State, a Penn State football show, Justin King, has said it usually takes a quarter and a half for a good quarterback to get used to it because it's just sheer noise. It's chaos. So Dante Moore, I think, with all the weapons that he has, they will be able to score. My concerns for Penn State is if you don't run the football effectively, which evidence would suggest that they should be able to do that against this Oregon team based on the sample size we have thus far. If you can't get out ahead and this game gets put on Drew Aller, Penn State's not going to win. Drew Aller has had very small sample sizes of where he can play hero ball, where he can be Superman, and he can throw Penn State back into a game. But that was when he had a unicorn like Tyler Warren last year on the road at USC and nearly pulled off the comeback victory against this Oregon team, the Big Ten championship game. It's in him. I don't think Penn State wants to play that game where Drew Aller is the reason why you win. Penn State is going to do what Penn State has always done, attempt to run the football very, very well. I think there's opportunities to be had with this defense for Oregon. There's opportunities in the secondary. This is not the greatest secondary that Oregon has ever fielded. So there are going to be chances for a revamped Penn State wide receiver core to take advantage. But this is as much of a coin flip, in my opinion, as Alabama and Georgia is. And all of the pressure is on one side. And it's entirely Penn State to prove to everybody that they are not fraudulent here in 2025.
Tom, does the way that Oregon, nobody's played anybody great, but does the way that they've dominated games worry you, or is that just stylistically more of what they do where Penn State's just trying to get out of games? As somebody who watches a little more closely, does that kind of give you some pause in this matchup?
It does and it doesn't, because as the season goes on, inevitably you learn more about every single team. I think there's a lot of people, we'll talk about Illinois, USC later, but the immediate reaction was, oh, Illinois stinks because they got blown out by Indiana. But we really don't know enough about Illinois. We're going to learn more as the season goes on. The same thing with Oregon. That Oklahoma State win looked a little bit better a handful of weeks ago, didn't it? And then we realized that this is maybe the worst Oklahoma State team in decades. And the fact that they're in the Big 12 doesn't really mean anything. I think Oregon going on the road to Northwestern was telling, in that Northwestern isn't nearly the road environment that Penn State is going to be. But still, Northwestern in that game averaged, outside of a 79-yard rushing touchdown, 3.6 yards per carry. Oregon State averaged about 4 yards per carry in the first quarter of the Civil War this past weekend, but then Oregon put the clamps down. Inferior competition in all these games. So there's still a lot of we really don't know about either team. I think what's been shown thus far is that Penn State has the ability to turn you over defensively. They will be able to get pressure. It's going to look a little bit different than it has in the past. There's no Abdul Carter unicorn running around on defense either. I think you're going to see a lot of different looks from Jim Knowles, not just man, zone coverage. He's going to try and mix things up to confuse Dante Moore and company. Oregon has the weapons. Once again, every single year, they just seem to reload at that position, even with guys going down. They seem to have the right pieces there. But yeah, man, I don't necessarily think what you've seen from either team should give you a very clear indicator one way or the other that, oh, this team is fantastic when it comes to this, or they're horrible when it comes to this. The truth of the matter is we just don't know. We're going to get our answers on Saturday night.
I will give Sleeper a little bit of love. Listen, if you're depositing, use our code CFA, get a 100% match up to $100. We will play the more or less game on Wednesday, where you pick two of your favorite picks or more. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. There are some free picks that you can go get right now. Like, I think Jared Goff has like 0.5 as an over-under for passing yards. So, supposing he doesn't get hurt on the first play of the game, should be relatively safe there. Bunch of free picks that you can go and stack together. Check Sleeper's terms and conditions because terms of use do apply. We appreciate Sleeper for their support. Tune in on Wednesday live at noon so we can talk about our picks. And again, appreciate Sleeper for all of their support.
Let's just be thankful that we have a whiteout game actually being played in conference in
Thank
a
God.
right location. Like, that's a good thing. That's a great thing that we actually get to see on our television screens for like the first time in what has it been, Tom? Decades, ages?
The first time Penn State's whiteout game has been at home, at night against legitimately his best home opponent in 6 years.
Yeah, and that feels like even longer than that if we're just being completely honest. We have to say the quiet part out loud, and you two haven't mentioned it yet. James Franklin's 4-20 against the top 10 teams in AP poll. He is. So he's got to win this one. He's got to find a way to get the job done. What's going to be really interesting, and you didn't bring this up, I think, enough, but what's left in the tank for Andy Kolotnicki in this offense? Because you're not going to really show that much when you face off against FIU or when you face off against Villanova or when you have the season opener. Who was it against again?
Nevada.
Yeah. Like you're not going to be able to show all those things and like say, this is who we are as a team. Well, it's Oregon. So you better have saved some of those tricks up your sleeve and be able to get ready to put yourself in a position to where you are viewed as a legit threat to win the national title. Because for most of us, we've been underwhelmed against inferior competition, but we also could say it's inferior competition. Who cares? You get a win. Now you get to go show up against the big boys. And what's interesting to me is that you have Jim Knowles, which is the ace in the hole from Penn State's perspective. Jim Knowles had two different game plans, and he learned from his game plans facing off against Will Stein last year when he was at Ohio State. First game went down to the wire. They gave up a late touchdown. Will Howard couldn't find his way into the end zone. Oregon wins the football game. The next time they face off against each other in the Rose Bowl, night and day different defense, night and day different team. So you know what works and what doesn't for Will Stein's offense, and you as a coordinator understand what are some strengths to your team that you're going to have to combat and show on out to be able to slow down a Dante Moore. It's a young Oregon team playing on the road for the second time this season against a veteran Penn State team that, let's also remind everybody, is coming off of a bye. They're fully rested, they're fully healthy, and they're going to have 2 weeks to game plan for this matchup. That is crucial. You already brought it up with Drew Aller. It does come down to Drew Aller. It does. You went out in the offseason, you brought in all these wide receiver transfers, Kyron Hudson, Trevor Pena. You also brought in Devontae Ross. You have good tight end play. You know you can run the football. Oregon currently right now, if I'm not mistaken, ranks 50th against the run this season. So Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are going to eat. They're going to be able to get their yards after contact, and you're not going to steer away from it if given the opportunity. To me, though, you have to be able to throw that punch. You have to be able to show that you have a quarterback that can get you to that next stage. Because even though Will Howard was never going to go off to become an elite NFL player, he showed you in the critical games, I can deliver and get that throw. I can deliver and make that play. I can step on up and be the reason why we're talking about a win instead of a loss and rejuvenate myself when we face off against a team. That's what you need to see from Drew Aller in this game. He's like 2 of 10 on explosive plays this year of 20-plus yards downfield. Been a lot of dink and dunk. Andy Kolotnicki, again, I can't preach this enough. You better have saved something in the tank, because I can promise you Will Stein has saved some stuff in the tank when he faced off against Montana State and Oregon State and Northwestern and Oklahoma State. He still has some stuff hidden away to where they're waiting for Corian Moore to win one-on-one battles against AJ Harris or whoever he's going up against and just let it fly. Dante Moore, big time gut check for you. Let's see if you legit can make it in New York City like your two predecessors before you. But also, again, hate to breathe very bad news. This all also comes down to two people, in my opinion. Has nothing to do with Oregon. Oregon, you can lose this game and you'll be fine. You'll still make it to the college football playoff. You'll still be in the hunt for a Big Ten title. This comes down to James Franklin and it comes down to Drew Rowler. It's gut check time, boys. Are you ready to finally live up to the expectations?
Cole, you got a pick in this one?
It has to happen. Like, it has to happen. It has to. It finally has to happen. Like, we cannot be sitting here talking about James Franklin once again fumbling the bag. Young Oregon team that hasn't had a bye week, that's coming off of yet another game where they had to kind of show out a little bit more of their offense. You had time to prepare. You had time to rest. I'm going to take Penn State. I think it's going to be 31-23 final score. I trust the defense to get the job done. Franklin, you got to win one. Like if not now, when? You got to show me that this is the year.
Tom?
I don't think this is a Penn State team that you'll see this season score into 30s consistently. Give me Penn State 24-23.
Ooh.
This is going to be very, very close. It's going to cause a lot of gray hairs.
I don't know what I actually think here, but so that we don't all three go one way and for Tom's sanity, I'll go Oregon 21-20. Just so that just to make sure that we don't get old takes exposed by all picking the same thing. So I did that for you, Tom, even though I
respect it.